Hey guys, it's Emma Vigling with TYT Politics. Hello, hello. I'm doing a very quick Donald Trump story because I know it's Friday afternoon and everyone's like, why do you have to bug me with Donald Trump? It's the last person that I want to be thinking about. It's the last person I want to be seeing. I don't need to see his very, very great face. I don't need to hear anything about him. I know we all feel that way. At least I do. Because every time I hear President elect Trump, I kind of like get a little bit of a jolt in my back. I'm like, oh god, that's reality? Oh my god, I totally forgot that it's reality. But it is! So here's another quick Trump story before the Trump trolls ascend on this video. Oh my lord. I'm gonna get a lot of dislikes and a lot of comments about my face and all of that good stuff, which doesn't affect me, don't worry guys. So, New York Times. Donald Trump takes credit for helping to save a Ford plant that wasn't closing. Oh god, the thing about him is that he would be so funny if he wasn't leading the free world. I don't like that phrase because they're not the free world, but you know what I mean. Wasn't leading the United States, wasn't the president elect. This is just another example of how he has exploited the American people and his voters, and he has taken credit for everything under the sun that he doesn't deserve credit for. So here's an example of him basically saying that he was the reason, and his own rhetoric and his inflated ego, that a Ford plant wasn't going to be closing. The CEO came and corrected him a little bit on that one. So I'm going to read from the New York Times. President-elect Donald J. Trump. Sorry, something just came up. It was like black bile. Claimed credit on Thursday night for persuading Ford to keep an automaking plant in Kentucky rather than moving it to Mexico. I'm surprised it wasn't China! The only wrinkle, Ford was not actually planning to move the plant. Mr. Trump wrote on Twitter, where else, shortly after 9 p.m. that Ford's chairman, William Clay Ford Jr., had just told him that Ford will be keeping the Lincoln plant in Kentucky, no Mexico. That's a quote. No Mexico. I'm sorry, you're right. It is pronounced Gina. Minutes later, Mr. Trump wrote in the second post, I worked hard with Bill Ford to keep the Lincoln plant in Kentucky. I owed it to the great state of Kentucky for their confidence in me. Mr. Trump won 62.5% of the state's population, popular vote in the presidential election. During the campaign, he repeatedly criticized Ford for moving production to Mexico, and he threatened to impose a 35% tariff on vehicles made there. Ford makes the Lincoln MKC, a sports utility vehicle, at a factory in Louisville. Last week, Ford said it planned to move production of the vehicle elsewhere. Trump goes, China, 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 Mexico, wall. It's got to be somewhere else, right? Here we go. This is hilarious. On Thursday night, after Mr. Trump's Twitter messages, the company said that Mexico had been the intended destination and that it would now keep MKC production in Kentucky. But Ford had not planned to close the Louisville factory. Instead, it had planned to expand production of another vehicle made in Louisville, the Ford Escape, and the change had not been expected to result in any job losses. Whatever happens in Louisville, it will not lose employment, Jimmy Settles, a union official, told the Detroit Free Press. They cannot make enough escapes. Now, thanks to Mr. Trump, the plant will make fewer escapes and more MKCs. We are encouraged that President-elect Trump and the new Congress will pursue policies that will improve U.S. competitiveness and make it possible to keep production of this vehicle here in the United States, Ford said in this statement. So, here is just another example of Donald Trump using a reality that has nothing to do with him and taking credit for something and having involvement in it. He basically has such an inflated view of himself, has such an insane self-worth, that he thinks that everything he says on Twitter directly affects every corporate decision that is made in Ford. So, he didn't cause anything. Donald Trump is a fraud. We're already seeing the cracks in the facade. I mean, anyone with two brain cells to rub together could see the cracks in the facade. But look at who he's appointing to his cabinet. It's actually really terrifying. Sessions? drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. As he appoints Rudy Giuliani, probably, to Secretary of State, which is terrifying. He's basically the most rabid racist I've ever seen in my lifetime in politics, at least since, I'm very young, so. And now Sessions, to Attorney General, who basically has one of the most conservative racist ideologies in the Senate, or in Congress. He's from Alabama. And he is well known as an extremist. He was one of Trump's earliest supporters, so of course he's getting rewarded by Donald Trump. Because that's how the game is played, especially with Donald Trump. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Works that way with the Clintons too. But with Donald Trump, it works especially terrifyingly for Donald Trump, because he came out of the gate swinging. If you recall, he called Mexicans rapists. Some of them, I assume, are good people. And he came down on that escalator. And he started off with very extremist rhetoric. Whether he believes that is another story. But the people that came out earliest and supported that rhetoric, when it was at the height of its extremism, means that those are also the most extreme politicians. So those are the people that he's filling in his cabinet. And that's what's scary. So you have someone who's a narcissist, a habitual liar, taking credit for something that he didn't do. And now he's surrounding himself with yes men who also have the ability and the belief system that is, no matter what we think Donald Trump's belief system is, the people that are surrounding him are extreme, and we should be afraid. I don't like to say that. It's not my favorite thing to say to the audience, but I'm afraid, and I know we will fight. We'll pick ourselves back up, but I'm not going to downplay the flaws in Donald Trump's personality. I think he has a narcissistic personality disorder at best, and the fact that he is surrounding himself with such deplorable people, for lack of a better word. Alright, I see the Trump trolls have descended. Oy vey. Alright, I guess when I criticize Democrats, it's all well and good, right? Have a good day, guys.